Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line. We got you covered, people, from all angles. You want to talk Major League Baseball? We got you. You want to talk a little NBA action? We got you. NHL action, NFL draft, NBA draft, and all goes down right here, Joe, in the next half hour. Investing your money wisely right here on the grid.
Yeah, it's time to get it going, Donnie, because we got a lot happening this weekend here, which is, and we got let's not forget, we got Kentucky Derby coming up. We've got the second major coming up over the next few weeks. There's a lot going on as we get ready to end April and head into May.
Before you, again, like, we don't like to hit that fast forward button, but Joe and I are going to be talking about, hey, training camps are open in the NFL. Like, we're already at the draft. Mandatory OTAs are coming up, and then training camp, and away we go into the regular season. Seattle opening up the season on opening night. But let's get to the association tonight, Joe. In Philadelphia, me, being a Sixers fan, said to myself, like, who's going to be in the building? Sixers are going to be down 0-2 after back-to-back 30-point losses. VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey said, no. We're going to tie this series up. So now we talk about a 1-1 series with a pivotal Game 3 in Philadelphia tonight. On the Kalshi Marketplace, Boston currently trading as the favorite, as they should be, at 72% as a chance to win this game. The Sixers as the dog at 28%. If we go to the spread, currently trading at 50%, Joe, Boston favored by 7.5. So you see that 50% marker here. $100 investment pays back an even $200. No juice if you feel Boston can win this game by 8+ points tonight in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is all going to come down to, Donnie, we talked about it, what's Embiid's status? Because we've heard, and we have heard throughout the first two, that he is likely targeting Game 3 of this series to come back. Only a lot of people thought it's probably be down 2-0 by the time they make it back to Philly. And yet here we are, knotted up at 1 apiece. And I find it interesting with this line sitting at 7.5. I'm wondering if it's already baked in that he is playing, that they think he is playing. Because if he's not, if he's ruled out, does this go to double digits? It's a wait and see approach. But in the meantime, whether he's in or not, I'm probably looking at fading Maxey here tonight because I think Boston learns its lesson. They are going to continue. They're going to dare Edgecombe to have the same game that he had in Game 2, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it. They've got to shut down Maxey again here, Boston.
Here's what I like about this, Joe, and I think you're on to something, because Maxey and Edgecombe were the catalyst here in game number 2 in Boston. So for me, if you're going to take away Maxey, which leaves you with VJ Edgecombe, how about this? 15 points out of VJ Edgecombe tonight, $100 investment pays back $170 here. If you're going to let him shoot, and also, shooters like to shoot, Joe. 30-10 last game. I don't need that many from him. Give me 15. That's going to pay me back a nice return here. Los Angeles, the Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets tonight, Joe. You know me. My bet of the night, taking the Rockets here to cover the point spread. If we take a look at the Kalshi Marketplace, Houston at a 73% chance to win this game outright. The Lakers only 27%, which means if you take out that yes contract on the Lakers winning this game, Joe, pays handsomely with a $100 investment, paying back $371.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues going on with this Rockets team right now, Donnie. And if you're pushing me into a corner here, I got to believe, A, Durant is playing. And then I've also got to believe that if he is playing, he's going to get more than the 12 shots he got in that Game 2 here. Obviously, he played, 41 minutes in Game 2 against the Lakers. He finished with 23 points. But again, only took 12 shots, and he looked like he was out of gas by the time we got to the fourth quarter. I think at home, couple of days here, I think Durant is going to have a Durant-style game here. His prop, 23.5 points. I think that's the way to look here. Expect him to go off tonight.
How about this? 25+ points on the Kalshi Marketplace, Joe. 46 cents is the current contract. To take a yes on that, $100 investment pays back $218 in this game for Kevin Durant. Like, I don't think that the Houston's going to cover a double-digit spread unless Durant does go for 25+. So almost goes hand in hand there. San Antonio and Portland, Joe. San Antonio on the road. We know you have your best bet of the night here as the San Antonio Spurs. If we go over to the Calcium Marketplace and you take them basically just to win the game, currently trading at a contract of 58 cents, which means a $100 investment on San Antonio to win this game outright would pay you back $173. Underdog Portland, that contract to the yes is 45 cents here, Joe. San Antonio on the road, no Wemby, no problems?
Yeah, no, it's San Antonio all day long here, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I would go along with the same situation. Best ATS team all year long, San Antonio, Donnie. Full game. You know what else they were number one in? Covering the first half of games here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Remember, Donnie, even when Wemby was out early in game 2, they dominated that game except for that short stretch. They let Portland go off on them in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and that's what ended up doing them in. I think they come out with a vengeance here. I would even look early in this game to San Antonio. First quarter, first half.
Somebody's got to make up for those points that you lose without Wemby in the lineup. Stephon Castle to go for 20-plus points tonight, Joe, is plus money. A $100 investment would pay back $213. Over to the Diamond today in the Central Division. The Pirates are going to take on the Brewers. And who's on the mound here for the Pirates? Yeah, it's Paul Skeens. They're the favorites today on the Calcium Marketplace to win this game. A 54% chance, but the contract, Joe, is currently at 56 cents to the yes for them winning. So a $100 investment would pay back $179. If you want to go with the dog and say, you know what? I'm going to fade Paul Skeens in this game. Buyer beware, as we like to say. A $100 investment on Milwaukee pays back $218 here.
I got to think it's Paul Skeens, right? It's going to be K-Day. That's kind of what it feels like. Strikeout props across the board here. Still a lot of injuries on the Milwaukee Brewers side, Donnie. They're still missing Terang. They're still missing Yelich. They still have some issues and holes in this lineup here. I don't expect a ton of runs. I told you, I think both team totals under, especially early. I mean, this has got first 5 under written all over it. I don't care if it's 3. I don't see either lineup doing damage to either of these starting pitchers.
By the way, the Central Division, which usually gets left out, like, one team will get in, everybody else really stinks here. Every single team in that division, Joe, over 500. The Reds and the Cubs both tied at 16 and 19 here, and the Pirates and the Brewers technically listed in last place, 14-11 and 13-11 respectively here. So good baseball being played in the Central Division. Let's cross it over to the NHL tonight. We do have a triple header tonight, even more hockey on Saturday. I told you I'm fired up for Saturday night against the Penguins with this game. And this series has been spectacular. Tampa Bay at Montreal. The place is going to be going wild tonight there. Los Habitants taking the ice. But on the Calcium Marketplace, Tampa Bay currently trading, Joe, at 52% chance to win this game. The Montreal Canadiens at 48% tonight. Games have been extremely close. Maybe another overtime game. But the slight advantage here on the predictive markets are to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and they should be, because that's where experience comes in here, Donnie, right? This is what it is all about. And I think getting Hedman back for Tampa Bay you could see the difference offensively it made in game 2. I think that continues here. Still have the more proven commodity. And Montreal seems hell-bent on just trying to be more physical and trying to beat up this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And it's cost them here in a couple of overtime games. So I tend to think that the gloves are off, so to speak. And I do think Tampa is going to show why it is that they were considered to be the favorites to begin with. And I think they proved that on the road here tonight against Montreal.
Absolutely. Getting out the binoculars just a little bit, Joe. Tomorrow night in Philadelphia, one of the highest ticket prices in Philadelphia Flyers history just to get in the building as they have a 3-0 series lead. But tomorrow, Joe, again, close numbers. The Flyers only a 51% chance on Calci here to win that game. The Penguins at 49%. So let me just ask you this simple question. Are we talking about a game 5 back in Pittsburgh, or is it wrapped up in Philadelphia on Saturday night?
It feels like that's all she wrote here, Donnie. It just looks like the Penguins, unless Crosby goes off, it's over.
Music to my ears. Prediction Markets Edge on the early line rolls along. We'll be back after this short break. ready for some fun, ready to get after it here. Of course, we're talking NBA action. We're talking NFL action. We're talking hockey. We're talking baseball. Nice little mix in between. Donnie, Joe, and Joe coming in there next. How about that? Didn't know we were getting guests today. Love to have some guests today, Joe. How are we feeling today?
Feeling good. We're in the NBA bracket, hoping to carry that momentum from NCAA. I'm going to pump my tires with that Michigan ticket for as long as it rides. So, we're rolling with the NBA. My Raptors won last night, so I'm feeling good. And
yes,
let's get this bracket pumping.
I love the fact that the Raptors won yesterday. Cha-ching, best bet of the day, cashes in. We'll see if we can turn it over today. But just like we talk about the NFL draft, which is taking place right now, it's never too early to look at who might be the number one overall pick in the NBA draft. Dibansta, Peterson, Boozer, and all the boys out there. Any looks here, Joe, from what you're saying, you know what? Maybe it's worth a little action here on the predictive markets.
I mean, I don't think you can go away from Dibansta in this situation, whether the market dictates or not. Generational talent, just does everything, young, athletic. I can't see anyone else going, but there's a few. Boozer has the pedigree, obviously. He's been in the game a long time with his father, Carlos. A lot of you young kids probably don't remember him, but he was the first unibrow before Anthony Davis took that title. But that dude could play, smart Duke guy. So between those two, you can't lose, but I'm leaning through AJ.
It feels like it's so unique this year, Joe, isn't it, in this NBA draft? Because it feels like even outside, you don't get the top ping pong ball. It feels like there is anywhere from 5 to 8 guys in this draft that are franchise changers. That it's usually 1 or 2 guys at the top, and then we're like, all right, who cares? Nobody cares about everyone else. They're G League players. Not so much this year. I can't remember a season like this.
Well, you know what? I was just going to say, Joe, as you were saying that, it really, talking about throwbacks, that's what it feels like. It feels like to those throwback drafts of those 90s eras where you had, 2 to 7 guys that could go either way. And if you do redrafts now, like let's say, I'm a Raptors guy, so the Vince Carter draft, the Marcus Camby draft, all those drafts in that 90s era, Kevin Garnett, like there was just a collection of players that any team could go for. And I know some teams kind of want to draft for fits, not as much as in the NFL, but talent is talent in the NBA, and once you have the best guy in the court, it changes everything in an instant, as we've seen with a lot of franchises. Look at Wemby. So it's great to see that, because I feel like the NBA draft has taken a step back in that sense, because you haven't had a ton of ready NBA players in years, really. So it's good to see the NBA get back in the spotlight with the draft, pushing their really young college talented players, and seeing that they can make that step directly and really a fit anywhere.
Draft will be here sooner than later, but did everybody know out here the last time we had SportsGrid's own Joe Cervenka on the show, we were talking about an early ticket on the predictive markets with the Michigan Wolverines that cashed in. So now the question's coming up. All right, Joe, we did it in college. How do we approach the NBA in the marketplace right now? And yes, have you placed a ticket or an exchange here on a team already on the predictive markets?
Well, I know everyone says, what have you done for me lately? But I'm riding that Michigan ticket as far as it takes me. Again, got me on this show. So I'm going to roll with that.
Yep.
I like Boston. Didn't have the same runway that, we had with Michigan. But, Jason Tatum is a beast. Jaylen Brown took a step up that everyone knew he could, but he proved it this season. The other really sort of X factor here, and I think a lot of people forget that Boston picked up Vucevic at the trade deadline. He was hurt about a month. He's not the player he was at 35, but he gives them that length and size. And if they meet up with any team in the West, they're going to need some of that. He's not a great defensive player by any means, but giving that length and size, Boston is really the only team in the NBA, I think, that can hang defensively with OKC to a degree. They were ranked 4th in defensive rating over the season. And you know what? The East is an easier path. Let's be honest here. The West is an absolute meat grinder. So whoever ends up coming out, they're going to have some major battles against some physical, tough teams. Whereas the East, I think it's a little bit more of an easier path if there is one in the NBA. And I think that blip on the radar in game 2 is going to give Boston all the motivation they need to really lock down into championship mode. And their supporting cast is really underrated. Their guards are good. They all play defense. It's Boston. They have that championship mentality, when they're not even a good team.
Well, we got injury concerns here as well, though, in the West. So what seemed to be just like pencil OKC in, maybe not so fast here. I mean, now Jalen Williams is down, which isn't a big problem when, you're opening against the Phoenix Suns. But at some point, yeah, that's going to be a problem, I think, for OKC. But you got Wemby in concussion protocol. We've got injuries, to Durant, and who knows if Luke is coming. There's a lot of uncertainty all of a sudden in the West, isn't there?
There really is, and that's where I was going to get to my next point about the Lakers. It's a very fascinating case what you do with the Lakers now. They're up to 4% to win the NBA championship. I don't think that's the case, but you have Reeves potentially coming back tonight. You have Luke Kennard finding another gear where no one even knew he had one. And Luka shot around the other day. So, he's not going to be back for the first round, but I can't see the Lakers dropping this series to Houston. I wrote about it, the juxtaposition between LeBron and Kevin Durant. Here's LeBron, 41 years old, slowest player in the game, oldest player in the game, and KD sits out because he bumped knees in practice. Like, that just shows you the difference between a championship mentality guy and a guy that's just, kind of collecting a paycheck, going through the motions. Does he care to win a title? I don't know. I know LeBron does. So it's an interesting case there. I would personally sell on the Lakers at 4 cents right here for the 4% for the NBA championship. But I think they're going off of 60% to win the series. I can't see them dropping this series, although they will lose tonight, I think. But as they're getting healthier, that's a really interesting wrench to throw into the West as well.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fascinating to see how it does play out, because I am surprised that the Lakers do have a 2-0 series lead in that. If they take the 3-0, it's basically done. But you never know. And the Lakers may be getting healthy at the right time. We'll see if they get some of those players back, and we'll certainly find out. But Joe Cervenka, SportsGrid's own, as we like to say, in the predictive markets, and we love to see it, Joe. Have yourself a great weekend, and thanks for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. As for Joe Raineri and Donnie Rightside, we're going to be back after this short break, but all the hot topics will continue to roll along. It's just what we do on the early line. Prediction Markets Edge style, people. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
At the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you 2, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Scottie Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors, none over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up, because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for, because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Prediction Markets Edge on the early line. No better place to be because now we're going to talk a little ice advice. Joe Raineri, and I'm scanning down as I look to see the Stanley Cup champion, those Philadelphia Flyers. They were at 2%. That's not good enough. They're up to 4% on the verge of closing out the Pittsburgh Penguins. But that's a pipe dream for the Flyers to win the championship because it looks like the true contenders won out in the West, Joe. That's the Colorado Avalanche, currently trading at 27% right now, and the Carolina Hurricanes at 20%. Everybody else, 11% or less here. Carolina, why? Well, they're up 3-0. Colorado, why? Well, Joe, they're also up 3-0.
They are, and they were both also the favorites, Donnie, to start with, right? Both Carolina and Colorado were kind of the favorites to get it going. Buffalo's been the trendy dog, so to speak, here with an opportunity, but there's no value, I think, in either of those two. The question is not necessarily who wins it, Donnie, but who do we think can not only get past this opening round, but maybe get past another round here. I think Dallas is fascinating. I think Minnesota, who's down 2-1 right now, is also a lot of value in there because I think that is going 7 games. I think they still have a good shot of beating Dallas in that one. And you and I talked about Vegas to begin with. Why is nobody talking about Vegas? The path for Vegas is much easier than some of these other teams. So, yeah, Colorado won the President's Trophy, did it not? Best record in the National Hockey League. We know what happens with those teams, Donnie. Every year they fall short. I don't know that I'd be running to the window on Colorado at all.
No, you know what? And you're right about this. It's so hard to win hockey, and sometimes just how good your goalie's playing at the time. But for me, Joe, I'm looking right in that same range: 7, 7, 7, and 8% here. Those teams, the Oilers, the Stars, the Sabres, and the Vegas Golden Knights here, great numbers. And also, once again, you picked Edmonton to win the Stanley Cup. They made it to the final and didn't win it. Well, then you're already profitable with a chance to actually get out of that winning ticket here with a profit in your pocket. But if we do stress, Joe, with the East and the Western conferences, in the East, you're going to get that heavy favor for Carolina. And on a night-to-night basis, those are going to change. Why? Because Carolina's up 3-0. The Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, if they get a victory, Joe, over the Montreal Canadiens, they also move price point higher. The Sabres, who just took a 2-1 series lead over the Boston Bruins, they're at 17%. But Carolina, just from the depth and the way they play, I do think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, but it is hockey. A lot of things can change from here, even in a couple days.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, Donnie, right? The ebbs and flows. It takes forever. Yeah. Injuries are always a concern. So there is, while it's nice that Carolina and Colorado are 3-0 right now, but Donnie, they were $2-3 series favorites to begin with. So there's not, it's not that they're always going to be overvalued. It's what happens next. Who's going to get their first pound of flesh from those teams? That's not going to happen until round 2.
Yeah, and also, let's take a look here, switch it over to some of these series winners, Joe. And the first one we're going to go over is the game we saw last night. Great victory on the road by the Sabres. 2 goals in the third period to win that game 3-1. You currently look at the Sabres now, 2-1 series lead. Still 1 game left in Boston before they head back to Buffalo. But the Sabres are trading at a high of 71% here, Joe. Any chances for you on the yes contract for Boston, which a $100 investment would pay back $345 if they can win that series? Or does it look like Buffalo is going to be that team that's just going to knock this one around and end the season for those Boston Bruins?
Well, I've been having fun in this market, Donnie, because originally after Buffalo came back and won game 1, they were trading at about a 75 to 25 cent difference. So you could have got the Bruins after game 1 at 25 cents, which I did. The Bruins win that next game, game 2, and guess what? Right up to 50 cents. Now they lose, Donnie, right? Game 3 at home, and where are they back at now? 20 some odd cents. This is going to, I think this series goes 7 games, and I think you can keep going back and forth like this. Buy low, wait for the result, sell high, Donnie. I think you can do that this series and the Minnesota and Dallas series, which I think are going 7.
Yep, Minnesota and Dallas here. We'll talk about that series quickly as well. You take a look at the prices there. Why? Dallas is up 2-1 with one game left in Minnesota before it heads back to Dallas. The Stars at a 65% chance to win the series. The Wild at 35% at this point. You win that game number 4. If you're Dallas, you go up 3-1. You can end that in your own building. We'll see what the Minnesota Wild have. But Minnesota Wild, 35%, Joe. Any takers on that number, or is it just a Dallas series for you?
Now the question is, I think it's going 7. So Minnesota wins and the series is tied. They go from 35, Donnie, to 55, 60, maybe somewhere now. All of a sudden we go back and forth. So to me, that's how I'm approaching these games that I think are going 7 games in a series.
Can the Penguins get a 7-game series with the Flyers? They'd have to win their next 3. A $100 investment pays back $1,100 if the Penguins can do it.
Save your money.
They ain't doing it, people. We'll be back on Monday for another edition of Predictive Markets Edge. Enjoy your weekend.
At the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you like 2, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Let me understand this, Joe. Are we going to have any broadcast games on TV anymore? It's all streaming?
You got to pay to watch here, folks. That's just the way it's going to be, one way or the other. And I'm sure this will satisfy, the FCC looking into the coercion that's going on here with the NBA NFL broadcast rights. Yeah, this is all par for the course, I think.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All these idiots out there sounding off on Tiger right now. See, it's so easy to go after a guy that's hurt. He's hurt. Whether you call it whatever you want. He's got a little bit of an issue that he's going to fix. Okay? They're attacking. Attack. Why don't you all shut up and let him go do his thing? He had to leave the country to do it because of privacy? That's nauseating to me.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
I see him 15th, 16th, somewhere in that ballpark, and I think that makes sense, Donnie. I don't see him in the top 10. I really don't. I mean, when you look at, let's say, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you start going into that, teams like the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Chiefs, and, could they take a flyer?
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.